Let's start with how these AI models are trained. ChatGPT goes through pre-training, learning from an enormous amount of text scraped from all over the internet. The model then completes supervised fine-tuning for better instruction following, and then reinforcement learning with human feedback. Basically, it's learning what we like and don't like, improving its responses for all the kinds of queries. With DeepSeek R1, they took a different route. DeepSeek skipped the supervised fine-tuning phase and instead it relied on rule-based enforcement learning, a method they call group relative policy optimization. Think of it as DeepSeek learning to reason through trial and error. Both ChatGPT's O1 and O3 models use chain of thought, which was first introduced by OpenAI in September 2024. It took about 4 months for the open source community to catch up, and DeepSeek utilizes the same method in R1. The chain of thought process involves the large language model exploring and explaining its reasoning step by step, just like you would solve a maths problem or think through a tough question out loud. Instead of jumping straight to the answer, the model will run multiple queries, breaking down the process into smaller logical steps, making it easier to understand how it got to the final result. Here's a simplified example for demonstration purposes. Without chain of thought, what's 12 times 14? Answer, 168. With chain of thought, what's 12 times 14? Answer, 12 times 14 can be broken down into 12 times 10, which is 120, and then 12 times 4, which is 48. Adding them together gives you 168. By working through a thinking process, the large language model becomes more transparent and accurate, and especially for complex tasks like coding or maths or logical reasoning. The catch with chain of thought is that up until now it almost felt like a step backwards, with ChatGPT's 4.0 model still being popular after the O1 release. For general text-based tasks, the chain of thought O1 model was slower and produced more convoluted outputs. There's no doubt that this technology is a step forwards, and DeepSeek's R1 and probably OpenAI's yet to be released O3 model really show off its capabilities in a way that O1 didn't. ChatGPT is proprietary, meaning that you'll need to pay for access. ChatGPT Plus costs about $20 a month, but it's been quoted that the latest O3 model can run queries which cost up to $2,000 per query for exceptionally complex tasks. DeepSeek, on the other hand, open sourced the R1 model under the MIT license, making it free for anyone to use, whether commercial projects, academic research, or just tinkering around. Open sourcing AI models and code in general is important because it promotes transparency, collaboration, and innovation. It allows researchers and developers worldwide to study, improve, and adapt their models. It also provides a level playing field which prevents a single government-influenced entity consolidating power through technological superiority, something I've spoken about in previous videos. The reason that DeepSeek was able to open source the model is because they built it for just $6 million. That might sound a lot until you put it into perspective that OpenAI has raised a total funding of $17.9 billion over multiple rounds. Trump has just set out a plan to allocate $500 billion. That's $500 billion to AI compute initiatives in the US. How did Chinese DeepSeek create a model that can outperform the US industry giants with so little capital and then just give it away for free? Well, as discussed at the start, DeepSeek R1 was trained using pure reinforcement learning without the typical reliance on supervised fine-tuning. This approach allowed the model to develop reasoning capabilities through trial and error, reducing the need for extensive curated datasets that are often costly to compile and label. The reinforcement learning method involved rewarding the model for correct decisions and penalizing it for errors, which enabled the model to learn from its actions directly, much like how humans learn through experience. This method was described as significantly more cost-effective. DeepSeek also successfully utilized a relatively smaller number of GPUs, 2,048 H800 GPUs for 2 months, compared to the massive data centers that are often used by competitors. This demonstrates that with the right approach, significant performance can be achieved with far less hardware than was previously possible. This efficiency and resource utilization was fundamental in keeping the compute costs down. The R1 model also employs a mixture of experts architecture where only a subset of the parameters, 37 billion out of the 671 billion total, are activated per token, which reduces the computational cost during both the training and inference phases. This was a strategic choice that made the model not only performant, but also cost-effective, as fewer computational resources were needed for each query or training step. Now let's talk about numbers, because benchmarks don't lie. However, some benchmarks are funded by OpenAI, so there might be some conflict of interest. The bottom line is that whenever an AI company releases a new model, they will cherry-pick the benchmarks that their model excels at. ChatGPT performs well across a broad range of tasks, from general knowledge to creative writing. It's the standard with which every other model is compared. DeepSeek R1, on the other hand, crushes deterministic reasoning benchmarks. It nailed the AIM maths benchmark with 71% accuracy and an astonishing 97.3% in Math 500 test. This is the kind of performance that turns heads. Its release has been a shock and awe moment for the AI industry and highlights what a small, talented team can achieve. DeepSeek's open source philosophy challenges the proprietary systems that have dominated the market, and this competition is going to push innovation to new heights. Maybe we'll even see ChatGPT 5 sometime this year. In the meantime, if you want to try out DeepSeek for yourself, you can find instructions on how to set it up and run it locally in this video. Enjoy.